In progress.
Good morning, all of you. In today's session, we are going to discuss about 10th class chemistry and physics, unit number 6, structure of an atom. In the series, 6 is going to be discussed. Earlier, we completed series number 1 to 5, all detailed explanation available on the channel called World of Competitive Chemistry. In addition to this, we earlier conducted video sessions on unit 1 to unit 5. All these detailed explanation in different series is available on the channel called World of Competitive Chemistry. In today's session, we are going to discuss about modification of Bohr's model by Sommerfeld, which is called a Bohr-Sommerfeld modification. Those postulates and limitations of that theory are going to be discussed. Let us enter into our today's concept. Here, Bohr's model, all the orbits. So when compared to the nucleus is present in the central part where nucleons are composed in that. Nucleons are nothing but protons and neutrons which are present in the very tiny space, and the entire remaining space remains in the form of empty or vacuum around this atom. So when you consider in case of Bohr's atomic model, which was given the foundation for the atomic structure of an atom. So in that, all the orbits are said to be a fixed and a spherical in nature. All these are quantized and consist of a spherical shape, just like here L is equal to 0 when considered. It is spherical or round shaped in nature in the similar manner. S orbital, p orbital, d, every orbit are represented in the same manner. That is the main drawback of that Bohr's theory. Sommerfeld modified this only assumption. Instead of spherical, only S orbital is represented as spherical and the remaining all. For L is equal to 1, it is indicated as an elliptical shape. So here slightly enlarged or deviated kind of sphere may be present, and this is a system called elliptoid or elliptic system will be there. So here only first assumption, that is for S orbital, that remains in the spherical, and when you move on to L is equal to 0 denotes what? N is equal to 1 denotes what? N is the principal quantum number. 1 denotes what? Subshell number is 1, where only S orbital will be there, and being L is equal to 0, it will denote only S orbital. When you move on to second principal quantum number, second subshell of an atom, where N is equal to 2 was taken, in that case L is equal to 0 and L is equal to 1. Two kind of azimuthal quantum numbers will be there. That means in 2s level, in second subshell you will have 2s and 2p orbitals as well, right? 2s orbital is composed of a spherical shape and 2p orbital is of elliptical, right? So both are present in case of N is equal to 2 principal quantum number. When you move on to N is equal to 3 principal quantum number, where L is equal to 0. So as we move on, principal quantum number increases, size of the orbitals and the size of the orbits also increased as well. You can clearly observe here the spherical size is very small, here it is enlarged, here it is still large, and here very largest sphere you can observe, right? L is equal to 0 denotes what? S orbital will be there. So being it is N is equal to 3, that means third principal quantum number, here you can accommodate 3s, 3p, 3d subshells. In case of that one, 3s orbital being it is a spherical indicated in the spherical shape. L is equal to 1 is the elliptical shape 1, and L is equal to 2 still elliptical. That means sphere is still enlarged in this manner. Here elliptoid or elliptical shape is represented here. When you move on to N is equal to 4, so next principal quantum number N is equal to 4, it is accompanied by S orbital, p orbital, d orbital, and even f orbital, right? 4s, 4p, 4d, and even 4f orbital also present in this. In case of this one, L is equal to 0 corresponding with the S orbital, and this will be on a spherical shape. L is equal to 1 also represented some extent a spherical manner. L is equal to 2 d orbital, that is represented in some elongated, some distorted sphere. L is equal to 4 is a completely, it is a elliptical shape one. So these are the allowed electronic orbits for the main quantum numbers which are given by Bohr-Sommerfeld. This is the modification of Bohr's model in order to avoid the ambiguity, whatever limitations generated in the Bohr's model, right? Here, the important postulates of this Bohr-Sommerfeld model of an atom is some extent modification was carried by them in an attempt to account for the structure, splitting of a line spectrum known as a fine spectrum. Sommerfeld modified Bohr's atomic model by adding elliptical orbital. This is a new concept introduced into the Bohr's model, where all the spherical orbitals now modified into elliptical orbitals, but S orbital remains same, just like Bohr's model only. For P and remaining all the orbitals here, they gave such a kind of distortion or change in its geometry or dimensions of the orbits. This is purely related with the orbit. Orbit is nothing but the path in which the electron is traveling. So that only modified elliptical orbital concept was introduced by Bohr-Sommerfeld model of an atom. And the next, another postulate will be while retaining the first Bohr circular orbit as such. First circle is nothing but n is equal to 1 remains as such only. So he added one elliptical Bohr in the second, two elliptical in the third orbit, such as the nucleus of an atom on the principal foci of the elliptical orbitals. Principal foci in the sense, in the central part nucleus will be there. From this nucleus here, orbits are enlarged or orbits are elongated in such a manner. Sphere should be elongated and that will become elliptical orbital. Bohr-Sommerfeld orbitals are mentioned in this, where n is equal to 4 principal quantum number was taken. If n is equal to 4 quantum number was taken in the sphere, complete sphere, and some extent enlargement and still enlarged and still greater enlargement will be there. All these possibilities are mentioned in this diagram. So this is the modified Bohr-Sommerfeld model. Let us compare this Bohr-Sommerfeld model with the traditional Bohr's model. In the traditional Bohr's model, central part nucleus will be there. It is surrounded by the spheres of orbits. You may go with n is equal to 1, n is equal to 2, n is equal to 3. Whatever the subshell, whatever the principal quantum number, in all the cases, here orbits remains a spherical only. So this is the fixed one, which is given by the first assumption called the Bohr's model of the spherical orbit concept, which is modified by the Sommerfeld, and it is introduced as an elliptical orbital concept to different subshells. When we are moving on from one principal quantum to another, there is a change in their paths. Orbits are slightly changing. All these are mentioned in this diagram, right? Here, in continuation to these postulates of Bohr-Sommerfeld, he was guided by the fact that in general, periodic motion under the influence of central force will lead to the elliptical orbits with the force of situated one of the foci, right? So here, what is the reason for this one? In particular area, there is a distance between the nucleus to the orbit will be different, and some other region it will be large. What could be the reason for this one? The reason is mainly assumed by this Bohr-Sommerfeld model that because of central force, nucleons are forcing in some extent their force of attractions. In particular dimension, force of attractions will be more, so that they will be compressed in that region, and some other region that extent of attractions may not be present, so that it will be elongated in that region. So because of uneven attractive forces laid by the central force, so that here this kind of elliptical orbits are generated in this atomic model. That is the main assumption. And let us discuss what is the main efficient point and what is the main important elevation point in Bohr-Sommerfeld model. So what is the main drawback of Bohr's model? Bohr's model could not explain why splitting of lines are possible in the high resolution condition for the hydrogen into Lyman, Balmer, bracket, Fund series, different series, bunch of lines we can observe. All these are not explained by Bohr's model, but that are clearly explained by this Bohr-Sommerfeld model. Sommerfeld model, though successful, it is very much successful in counting hydrogen atomic spectral lines. What could be the reason for that? Clearly explained by this one. But we have few limitations with this also. That's the reason why we will move on to another modernization of this atomic model still. So that here, let us discuss what are the limitations of Bohr-Sommerfeld model. It will not explain the picture of structure of an atom in general. So why that kind of elliptoid structure, and what is the exact structural type of each and every element? That kind of atomic general structure introduction is not carried by Bohr-Sommerfeld model. And again, it is limited to hydrogen atom. More than one electron containing species may not be explained by this even Bohr-Sommerfeld model also. These two are the limitations, but the efficiency of this method is So it able to give the entire definition why the splitting of spectral lines are possible in case of hydrogen, even under high resolution. How many those many lines are observed? What is the exact reason for that? That is clearly explained by Sommerfeld, but it fails to explain. General atomic structure assumption was not clearly explained and even may not be applicable to all the atoms which are present in the periodic table. So we have to move on to another modernization of atomic model, atomic theory. So by this, we completed the series. In this series, we explained so how we overcame Bohr's atomic model drawbacks which are created, and what are the efficiencies and what are the drawbacks of this Bohr-Sommerfeld model in this session. Thank you very much for your patience listening. Thank you one and all.